this is a quick overview of the management cycle and in particular where Agile planning fits into it. So I want to keep this as simple as possible, but of course, like Einstein's quote, not so simple that it loses relevance. So my apologies if I gloss over any issues and important topics. So leadership really has three core activities they need to do. One is they need to set strategy. And based on that strategy, they need to be able to build a plan that enables that to occur. Once the plan is built, their job is to ensure correct execution of that plan. And of course, the plan and execution feeds back up to overall strategy. Now, like any of these models, this is a bit weak because, in fact, it's a two-way street. For example, when we build the plan, that has to inform both the execution, but it also has to update the strategy with what the plan's actually capable of delivering. Likewise, execution has to feed back to the plan what is actually done. And not only does execution feed strategy, but based on that feedback, strategy has to inform execution. Now, this is beginning to be a bit complicated with these arrows, so I'll just simplify that and just draw it as an overall circle. And the thing that connects these together is how we monitor the business. In fact, this is what we call the balanced scorecard. The balanced scorecard captures views of strategic intent, the plans, and how we actually execute, and gives you a comprehensive measurement system of how those bits and pieces work together. The evolution of that, though, is with tools that are now available to us, like Anaplan, we can replace this easy monitoring activity with actually linking these things together. So now it's a hard change. When execution doesn't happen as expected, it immediately updates the plan, and the plan immediately updates strategy, not requiring manual intervention unless you put in approval points. So let's take a look at this in a bit more detail. So the first aspect of Agile planning is capturing the mathematics between strategy and plan. So the strategy is going to send us stuff like, what are my strategic goals? What are those priorities? What are the strategic scenarios we'll entertain? And what are the high-level performance targets? The feedback from plan back up to strategy is, of course, the financial plans and budgets, the operational plans that come from those, as well as our prioritized view of the gap between the plan and the strategy. And of course, whatever the scenario analysis that's been enabled. The next phase, from plans to execution, has these components. The plan is going to be informing execution with the actual plans and budgets they have to work within, the operational plans that they're framed, and of course they now should be able to tell us what is the gap between the plan and execution. The feedback is what's the actual revenue earned or expenses consumed, what's the actual performance delivered, and a prioritized view of the execution to plan gap. The final section, of course, is between execution and strategy, and that's a bit more straightforward. The strategy is just going to tell the execution what our prioritization is and clear, crisp communication. And the feedback loop is about the prioritized strategy execution gap. So if we take a look at this in total, we've got the three wings to this. The strategy execution cycle includes strategy to plan, planned execution, execution to strategy. In fact, the statistic that we often hear, that is 80% of strategies fail, describe this total loop. What is the gap between strategy and plan and execution back up to strategy? So it's all these elements that contribute to that huge failure point in strategy execution. And now, because we can form that through linear equations and link these components together, we can now create that agile plan that's responsive to these issues the moment they occur.